And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for today's date, October 27th, 2019. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective Steve Kulls, along with, right up there, the co-host with the most, Mr. Chris Bennett.
How you doing, Steve, man? Glad to be here.
I am doing wonderful. And we got a special show lined up for you tonight, but we'll be talking about that more in a second. But Chris, how is your week going? And just so you know, it looks like I'm going to have to be monitoring the Facebook comments again. Apparently, there is some disconnect with the StreamYard and the Facebook comments. Hang on. There may be a reason why. And I'm going to fix this problem right now. Hang on.
Okay. All right.
There we go. There we
right.
are. Hello, Aaron. How are you? Okay, we're good. Because now the posts have popped up, and I don't know why. All right, I can shut you down because I know we're working good now. So, also my Google Assistant on my one doohickey just went off. But hello, Aaron. How are you tonight? See, now we are back to Facebook comments. Hello.
Yeah, Aaron.
Hello, Cryptidville.
Cryptidville. All right.
Anybody want to drop us a hello? Just throw it in there. We'll put your name up and spotlight you.
I'll make sure this thing's working.
So, but anyway, we got some ideas for the show coming up. Tonight is going to be one of those nights where I'm going to do one of my presentations live tonight. Stuff that I usually talk about when I go to conferences and shows. Tonight, it's all about hello, John, and
hey, John.
And John, you have a beautiful family there. And we're going to be talking about tonight analysis in Sasquatch research. So we're going to see some of the tools that we use and that I use particularly. And we're going to do some case studies too of stuff that I've analyzed in the past and how using some of these tools have come to the determinations. And I just pray to God the one audio works.
Oh yeah, it will.
We'll figure it out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We'll just move on because there's a lot to talk about tonight. But how have you been, kind sir?
Well, we've been doing good, man. It's cooling up. The leaves are starting to change, but we hadn't got the good colors yet, you know. But I'm just hoping that they'll change this year and stay on the trees for a little while because last year and the year before we got a frost. They changed overnight. It seemed like they fell off overnight. So everybody was kind of disappointed, you know.
Oops.
Love to see those. I love to see those fall colors this time of year.
Oh yeah. Well, last week I had to go out someplace in the Adirondacks for my job, which I, as an investigator, I go all over the flipping state lately.
Right.
And just the foliage was awesome.
Yeah.
Hello, Michael. Hello, welcome,
Hey,
welcome. And just a lot. Well, this will be very repetitive for Michael, but hopefully, because he was there at Chautauqua when I did this presentation.
Yeah.
And he actually loved it. So it was actually his idea that I do this one on the radio show or the TV show, I should say, because this is what people come here for. They want some substance,
Right.
and it gets tiring knocking down video after video after each week. So this week we're going to lay off that. There's another video out, by the way. I don't know much detail on it because basically I was going to let that marinate till next week, and we'll look at that one next week because we like looking at all the videos that come out. And unfortunately, I have to, shoot down about a good portion of them. This one, it's kind of like this right now. So we'll see. I also want to remind that my speaking year is over with. My next event is going to be the Rochester Winter Parafest in Rochester, the Rochester Winter Parafest. That's going to be up just outside of Rochester, New York. More details to come, but that's going to be February 29th and March 1st.
All right.
So just think about when that one it goes off, which it'll be like tomorrow. When that one goes off, we'll be just into the final weeks of winter, which is a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and they're going to have the Scare Fest in Lexington. Is that around April or so, or?
Negative. That's usually September, October.
September. Okay. Well, shoot.
But I don't know if I'm going to make it to that one next year. We'll all have to see how that all plays out because it's quite the endeavor to go down there. And I have some other.
I was kind of hoping they did that twice a year. The Knob Creek machine gun shoot here. They do that every April and October. And which that became famous not too long ago, and there's some footage from Knob Creek and saying it was from the Turks or something.
Well, the Turks have been on the move.
Oh yeah.
Well, no politics.
Right.
Although I am very pleased to announce the passing of butt-face al-Baghdadi from ISIS. I'm glad to see he's gone. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And you know what? But anyway, so anyway, let's get to getting it, folks, and let's get on with the show. So tonight we're going to be talking about, I'm going to pull this up here 1 second, folks. We'll get our ugly mugs off the face. We have good faces for radio right now. I'll tell you that. And we're on TV. So here we go. Let's get the PowerPoint up, going, and running. And tonight we're going to be talking about analysis and Sasquatch research. So this should be a fun topic. And Creek, not Creek. Hang on a second. What, Chris? Near Knob Creek road trip? Oops! And I quickly Creek, not Creek.
Yeah,
no, what you don't understand, Mike, is when Chris moves, it probably is a creek.
Oh yeah, they have Michael. They have it every year, twice a year, October and April, the Knob Creek machine gun shoot, and it's really a big deal. I mean, not only do people come around the United States, they come from all over the world, different countries and stuff, and everybody sets up their big guns and they're out there. Just tapping away and blowing thousands of dollars on ammunition. And I used to go to that twice a year. Used to be in the gun parts business, and I would go there and blow my money too, But like we found out, it's no good to make $10,000 one weekend if you spend $15,000 on ammo having fun out back, Yeah.
Nothing like shooting off some guns in Kentucky.
Oh, that's right, buddy. We got some good ones too up there at Knob Creek. They
Get
got
yourself,
that.
get yourself a widget, did you?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so here we go. So obviously, one thing I've always talked about is for anybody, and Chris, pipe in anytime you would like to. This is kind of a cool thing.
Sure.
And just so you know, Sherry says, "Hi, Chris."
Hey, Sherry.
So she is nearby listening, I'm sure. Anyway, when you set up any type of thing, you want to have basically a mission statement. That was my 5 tenets. And, you know, I've talked about this on the show before, so I'm going to really kind of skim this real quick for the folks who haven't seen it. You know, number one is keep an open mind. For God's sakes, we're looking at Bigfoot. So let's not act over seriously. Let's understand that we can have a good time. Let's understand that, you know, there's going to be shenanigans. Let's understand there's going to be some stuff that might blow your mind. So you got to be prepared for just about everything. Number 2, remain objective. And an open mind doesn't mean compromising reality. And we'll talk about that towards the end of the presentation and compromises in reality. Number 3, always tell the truth. It doesn't matter. Okay, it's okay to say, hey, this is not Bigfoot. For many years, Chris, and you remember him, remember Facebook Find Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Everything was a Bigfoot.
Right.
You know, stuff that was a Bigfoot, stuff that wasn't a Bigfoot, stuff that had been debunked. And they come up with a video saying, oh, how we believe it's
right.
And, you know, clickbait. So always tell the truth. It's a downer, but to me, the joy of it has always been in finding an answer, whether it be one way or the other. You know, we closing the book on a case is a great feeling. Again, I've talked about responsibility to educate. If you're going to get into this, my God, spread the gospel. You know, educating about people about the phenomena is a responsibility, not an option. And the reason why is, and people hate this word, but to the laypersons, we are the experts. To us, between each other, we're colleagues. An expert is a frame of reference. And when somebody, a lot of times, say, oh, Bigfoot expert coming in, and people, oh, you got called an expert. Oh, yeah, well, they're not experts in this crowd. It's like a bunch of plumbers. You know, if a bunch of plumbers are at a convention or talking amongst these others, who's the expert? Nobody. But if my toilet plugs up and I ain't no plumber, guess what? That plumber is the expert, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
Otherwise, you're up shit creek. So don't get caught up in the minutia of the moment, folks. And finally, expose the charlatans. It's okay to go, hey, this is a hoax, and this person is a bad source, or this bad person is a bad reference to go to for information. And I will always say this: can't say I'm 100% correct 100% of the time. We're all human. We're all infallible. We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between somebody not coming to a right conclusion or coming to a different conclusion about a particular incident than there is somebody coming to a conclusion about a particular incident based on motive. And that's what a charlatan is I need people to get excited. I need people to hit my YouTube page. I need people to click on my blog or buy a t-shirt or whatever. So I'm going to say this is Bigfoot. Now that's not the way I've operated. You know, it's just not right. I think that by, you know, telling the truth, by exposing what's wrong with certain philosophies and certain things, at least in my opinion, in some cases, like the whole lunacy, stop the lunacy. That's my opinion. And I have a lot of facts behind my opinion, and I will gladly debate that. I don't have to take it personally. I don't have to get angry about it. I don't have to point fingers and say somebody is a knucklehead or call names unless they're truly hurting somebody. Then that's where that crosses the line. But if Joe Schmo down the street believes that Bigfoot's a shapeshifter, I'll have a good debate about why I think it isn't. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to dislike the guy. You know, we see this polarization a lot in this country nowadays, and I don't think it should be that way. And so anyway, moving on. So next up is, when I do things, there is an investigation matrix, and then this is something that, as you have a Bigfoot organization or you want to do Bigfoot research, you need to have a process. And this is the exact process we use: the initial report, the phone interview, the face-to-face interview, the on-scene investigation, and then publication. And oh, by the way, Ken Parnell says too many people are tempted to improve on the truth as if Bigfoot isn't big enough to be a big deal.
Yeah, that's right, Ken.
That's very, very true. Very true. You don't need to improve on the truth. It is what it is. And, forever we're in that cycle of people trying to increase some truths about things. And, I will say this, right now, DWLE is taking another look at the New York baby video. He de-shaked it. What I did was I gave a couple of folks, I gave Phil Pauling from Para Breakdown a copy of the Crisp DVD video, and I gave DW a copy of the Crisp DVD video, and DW has de-shaked it, and wow, it looks wonderful de-shaked, because you don't get all that bobbing of the camera.
Right.
I could have done it. I should have done it. I didn't do it, but he did it. So great. Thanks. And, I may, and hello, Ken, how are you, sir?
Yeah.
So we'll let that go. So I'm kind of looking forward to see what he thinks. And even if he doesn't agree with me, oh, well, we can always agree to disagree and be friends. I think it's legit. Could it be an escaped chimpanzee or monkey? Maybe, but we'll see. We'll see what he says. But anyway, again, the initial report, again, what you want to do, with a lot of people don't do, is one of the things I do is when you get an initial report, one of the most important things is right here. If it's a computer-based, verify the IP address and any phone numbers received. You want to make sure that somebody from suburban Chicago is not sending you a Bigfoot report about rural Alabama,
right? Without
any kind of, saying, oh, well, I actually live in Chicago, but I was vacationing. If they say, yeah, we live out on a farm, and their IP address comes from Chicago and their phone area code comes from Chicago, guess what? You're running into problems.
Yeah.
So that's really a big takeaway from doing this. Again, phone interview, obtain permission to record for accuracy reasons. Note any discrepancies and verify any details in conflict. So if something they say over the phone doesn't quite match up with what they wrote, could it be a typo? Could it, that's what you need to, use to, and I'm sorry if some of you are bored about this. This is very, I'm trying to keep this as quick and fun, but we get into some fun case studies too. So stay tuned for that. This isn't just a straight out lecture. We're going to show you some stuff. Face-to-face interview, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about that in depth in the next slide. Again, you want to obtain permission to record the interview. Video would be best. Pay close attention to timeline of events. Take note to observe your surroundings. For example, now here we go. And Tommy piped in. I've heard the baby footage of something hanging from a car antenna in the foreground. And Tommy, I will tell you this 100% no, because looking at the frame by frame, and this is somebody, the people that have made that claim haven't looked at it frame by frame. They don't see it swinging from between two trees, which I actually.
Yeah. See, nobody was more skeptical of the New York baby footage than me. Okay.
Yeah.
And I had to get to the point where I'm looking at it frame to frame, and I'm thinking the whole time, that's a spider monkey. It's got to be a spider monkey. Somebody had a spider monkey there. And, and when you go to the frame by frame, you're going to find there's no tail.
Yeah.
You see one frame and it looks like there might be a tail, but you notice, oh, that's an arm.
Yeah, it's really yeah, it's definitely not an antenna flag on a car.
Right, right.
Uh, all right. Well, that's because Ryan has seen some of my presentations on the New York Baby video, but
and it's okay because everybody's going to have a different opinion when they see it like in real time. And maybe it's a kite in a tree, or maybe it's a flag on it.
Well, that was my thing. That was my first thought. Maybe it's somebody flying a kite.
Right.
But it's not. You see the baby jump. You see, well, what I call the baby jump, or the monkey jump, whatever you want to call it.
The subject,
you see the little unsub jump off the big unsub, and then you see it climb up a tree from the left to the right, going up. And this is way far off left of the vehicle. And then it's in the back, and you can see it swing once to a tree, then back again, and then drops. So this is something swinging in a tree. And what we're looking at is something that is biological and not human. And that's about as far as we can take that.
Right.
But anyway, getting back to the whole process, we were talking about taking note to observe your surroundings. And the reason why I say that is this person, if all of a sudden you notice they have a bookshelf and they have 10 books about Bigfoot. Or they could this be their imagination? The same thing. We do the same thing in the paranormal side too. That we do the same things in the paranormal too. We look for evidence of occult beliefs or evidence of occult using the occult and stuff like that. So absolutely, and determine the behavior type of the person, whether they're nervous, looking for validation, looking for vindication. I don't care what anybody says. I damn well saw that, or that kind of attitude. So then what you want to do is an on-scene investigation is you want to create the timeline. A lot of people don't do that. People say, well, I left my sister-in-law's at 10 o'clock and, all of a sudden at 10:15, they're seeing the Bigfoot cross the road. Well, you find out it's only a 5-minute drive from where they saw it cross the road to the sisters. So what's going on with that 10 minutes? Why did it take you so long to drive there? You'd be surprised when somebody's trying to pull your leg. They don't take into consideration these facts. So these are great ways to go, that's not right. Then they turn around and say, oh, well, I stopped at the store. Okay. And you might want to go talk to the person at the store. You remember seeing so-and-so this day? That's how an investigation is done. Now, it may seem extreme, but again, this is about validating. And this is like any other investigation. How is that extreme? Well, it's Bigfoot. So we're supposed to lower our standards to the level of investigation? No. So you need to do what you need to do. And when you do an on-scene, okay, now you're going to go out in the field. You're going to collect any evidence. You're going to do any follow-up investigations. You may deploy equipment depending on what it is. Roadside crossings. Okay, I may take a daytime visit. That's not going to be something I sit there at night and wait for it to cross again because, well, as we will do in future weeks, we will do the primate behavior presentation where we will talk about, this type of behaviors where you may get recidivism or not. So that's very important. And then publication, of course, you send any physical evidence or third-party verification. In case of the Vermont Trail Cam photo, we sent that to Bruce Maccabee, Dr. Bruce Maccabee, and say, hey, what do you think? Collect any field notes from your field team, debrief them, collect hypotheses and findings, and eventually you'll publish your analyses, hypotheses, and any findings. And it's okay to say, hey, we didn't find jack shit. That happened.
It goes back to, tell the truth.
That's right. Exactly. So that is that slide. Now, here's something near and dear to my heart. And that is the interview. Now, what I did, and a lot of people don't understand, is I'm a trained forensic interviewer. I have conducted pretty close to 300 or so interviews in my last 31 years of doing what I've done. And many times it was to secure a written confession to a crime. But in that, there are certain things. Understand that that an interview of a witness is not the same as an interrogation. So you have to gear it differently. You have to listen. You have to be an active listener. You have to look and make eye contact. You have to look at things such as biolinguistics, basically how they're sitting, how they're postured, how they're making eye contact with you. Are they tapping their legs? Are they being nervous? Are they relaxed? Are they nervous? And then you have to make kind of a determination too, or well, are they nervous because they're not sure if you're buying their story? And if so, why? Why are they nervous and you're not buying their story? So there's a lot. But if you look at the truth factors, maintains good eye contact and good eye contact, leans forward to speak, may have arm crossed initially, and that's a guarded position. They have quick answers to inquiries. They're cooperative to provide corroborative evidence. There was a time where I had this the Katoomba Yowie video, and it looked like a Wookiee basically, and this it posted on some laser sites, and I remember very, very distinctly, the guy's story kind of flip-flopped. It was like, well, I was out with a couple of friends. Well, where was your wife? Well, my wife was inside preparing dinner with her friend. And the next time I talked to him, he goes, well, my wife and my friend, and they went out to the Indian restaurant to get dinner, to pick up dinner. The tall one says, good stuff. Thank you, tall ones. We're going to keep rolling on.
And this here too, I mean, I know it's the forensic interviewing, but if we got any teachers out there in the audience there, I think they'll recognize this too, because when you're getting your teaching certification here in Kentucky anyway, you go partially the course you go through is on this and how to tell when your students are being deceptive.
Yeah.
But
and so that was one thing, but then I asked, well, how about the name of, you said you were with a nurse that saw this with you. Well, can I get the name of the woman and the man you were with that were talking in the background? And he got all bumbled about that. Well, why are you getting bumbled about it? So based on the change in story of what his wife was doing and the fact that he would not, and he was like, well, this is like some kind of interrogation. No, we're trying to validate your story here.
Right.
If you're going to sit there and BS, hey, what's up, Mr. Ed? Oh, that's a pretty boot. That looks like a beagle or a coonhound. So, now deception, poor eye contact. Eyes may move up or down or to the right frequently. Leans back, speaks nervously, covers face, taps foot, nervous gesturing. One of the other things too is I often see people play with their hair if you're talking with a female witness, or somebody may chew their nails. They're hesitant to answer questions, has to think about the answers. And the reason why you have that delay is because they're trying to keep their story straight. Remember, the truth is black and white. The truth is in stone. If they're making something up, they have to go back and think about it. And again, it may be different. And I always say this, it's different for, well, hang on. Let me finish this up, and then becomes irritated or disappears when asked to provide corroborative evidence. And that was going back to the Katoomba Yowie video. Now, let me predicate this, that distance, height, weights, even sometimes time frame can change over time. So if you're talking to somebody about something that happened to about a year or a year and a half ago, or 2 years or 5 years or whatever, there may be a hesitation in answering a question because they're thinking for the truth. But one thing that never ever changes is A, B, C, D, E. This happened A, this happened B, this happened C. When you get the story the first time, Next thing you know, A shouldn't go to D and then back to B and then to C and D. And that was Bob
Right.
Hieronymus' story when Bob Hieronymus claiming he was the man in the Patterson suit.
Right.
But
now you know you don't want to hold a guess against your witness there, or when you're doing the interview, like, because how far away were you? I don't know. I was probably 60 yards.
Exactly.
You know, well, okay, well, you know, if they went back later and measured it and it was actually, you know, 78 yards exactly, you know, then that could change.
Well,
but,
you know, there was an interview about my first very equipment sighting. I said the reeds were 4 foot tall, and then you got me later on saying they're 6 foot tall. They actually were 6 foot tall, but you know, you know, again, you understand you're in a shock, and sometimes things are new, and then you start to think about it. Well, you know, I think maybe they were actually a little bit taller than when I first said, you know, so that happens. Distance measurements, if you haven't got the tape measure out, then you're going to forget. But A, B, C, D, and like I said, Hieronymus first said that he never told anybody but his mother about the suit, and then months later he said, "Well, I stopped in this bar and I showed the guys the suit." Well, that's a difference in A, B, C, D, E, and that is a sign of deception. And how? And a lot of people ask me how do we go about that? Well, I only call out a very small number of people trying to pull my leg, and we're going to talk about the reasons why. But because there's the reasons why people pull legs, and there's reasons why they don't. We're going to be talking about that in a second. But anyhow,
Ken said, and then how, when you just spoke about Hieronymus, that reminded me of something. How do we go from it was made by Roger out of horsehide, and it stunk so bad it made me sick when I was wearing it, to a suit made out of Dynel from North Carolina? Or
well, if it stunk so bad, why did you take it into a bar and show everybody? Why did you take it to your mother?
Should have washed it.
Put that thing out and shoot it. So anyway, those are just some. So
that's
anyway,
good stuff to know. Yeah.
The stages of a Bigfoot hoax. This was paralleled by Guy Edwards, and Guy is an awesome guy, and no pun intended. But I believe he has the stage of Bigfoot hoax. I really think that he's actually missing the first stage, and the first real stage is the hoaxer selects his target, because sometimes the target isn't just everybody. Sometimes it's aimed. When Penn and one of my, we'll be talking about that in one of my case studies, and I'm not gonna try to jump ahead here. It's kind of hard to, because there's so much dynamics going on. The defensiveness or attack of the critics, and we'll be showing a piece of that in one of the case studies. Postponement of evidence again, and then claim you're a victim of a hoax. And that is the that's the old guy from where's that place? Menlo Park. That's his game.
Oh yeah.
I got hoaxed. Yeah.
Mr. Mike.
Yeah. So anyway, what goes on is the hoaxer selects his target audience, develops a plan, selects a delivery system, because sometimes it could be a YouTube video. Sometimes it could be a 3-ring circus like Rick Dyer. Sometimes it can be very select and just on Facebook. So you select your delivery system, and then they launch the hoax. That's their exact process. Now, this is very important, because when you actually look at everything, you can break everything down into pieces. And this is something I developed, the types of hoaxers. First, you have an unintentional hoaxer, a person who really has that legit sighting, and due to a psychological effect of the sighting, hence we've talked about Bigfoot on the brain, PTSD, the trauma that if it's not in your belief system, boom, now it's there. Then every bump in the night becomes a Bigfoot, and it's often confused, misidentifications, and they're sometimes the toughest people to knock back into reality. And but eventually some do come around. And what the hell was that? And what generally happens is, I'll give you a great running example. I went down to Kentucky one time, and you remember this, Chris. I told you about this.
Right. Yeah.
And this guy, we're out there in this area that's supposedly inundated with Sasquatch, and it really wasn't.
Right.
And I hear, the barred owl, "Ooh, ooh, ooh, ooh." And he goes, "That's a Bigfoot imitating an owl." And I was like, and I looked at him. I go, "What the hell are you talking about?" I'm thinking to myself, "No, it's not. It's an owl." But because of whatever trauma they have popped in their head,
Yeah.
now everything's a Bigfoot every bump of the night.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I don't think he intentionally meant to mislead anybody, but after he had that sighting, and I believe he did have a good sighting, it was like, just like you got here, everything that bumped in the night is a Bigfoot.
Yep.
Exactly. And I don't know if he got over that or not. I hope he did. I'm sure he did.
Yep. And that it happens. And
yeah.
And should we take these people and string them out to dry? Heck no.
No.
And those are the type of people that I usually kind of step away from, and I let them go quietly in the night. Amy Beal, hello, Amy. And she goes, "Hoaxers, I know a few."
Hi, Amy.
I bet you one of them we will be covering tonight. and some of our case studies and some of the techniques that we use to expose this stuff. Then we have the psychologically needy hoaxer, one whom hoaxes due to a recent psychological event in their life, such as divorce, being widowed, or general loneliness, and can do it for company or attention. Again, this is not necessarily the person you want to say, "Hey, you're full of it."
Right.
You really need to, really try to be gentle with these people. Not every, and I often talk about this one case I had gotten. This gentleman years ago had said he had seen a Bigfoot in a field, and the sighting lasted for quite some time. And I said, okay, and I was interested, but I never heard the level of detail in any sighting in my life. Well, okay, maybe it's 45 minutes, so I know a few little tricks, and for my researchers out there, listen carefully how this goes. So I asked him, okay, did you see the eyes? And he described the eyes. Did you see the head? How about the hair? How about the chest? How did that look? And I'm working myself down the Sasquatch. Did you see any genitals? Yes, I go right into that. Hands. How about the feet? What did the feet look like? And he described the feet. Okay. Can you tell me what kind of terrain? So I talk about some other stuff, and then I say, okay, what was the terrain like? Well, it was standing in the tall grass. How did you see the feet?
Right.
So now you know what you have. Hello. And hello to Pat Cassidy. Hello, sir.
Patrick. There you are.
Fine young man you have there. It's so good to see people so proud of their families. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So and I kind of let that one go. And of course, I would say about 3 to 4 to 5 weeks later, I get another report from him. Now he was in a Greyhound bus coming from wherever, and he saw it out in the field, but I didn't draw anybody's attention to it. But I saw it, and again, it was well. How long was your sighting? Well, it was about 45 seconds. Well, even a bus driving at 30 miles an hour would only see that section for about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So,
But plus, if it had been me on the bus, man, I would have been jumping up saying, "Hey, everybody, look out the window! What is that?"
Right. Now the reason why I was, because I had classified him as a psychologically needy hoaxer, because in my buildup, in my general forms I use to talk, and one of the questions I asked, can you TMI, Ken, TMI.
Thanks, Ken.
Anyway,
where were we?
And my build up to that is, Well, at least he didn't say he was going to go to the loo. Excuse me, I got a 2 o'clock appointment with a 4 o'clock poo. The reason why is when I ask these questions, one of the things in looking at his background, he had just recently got divorced. And I'm like, well, you know, you have any friends, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, take a shower, likely
Amy.
story. Anyway, so you know, what do you do with that kind of person? You know, you're not going to sit there and make an example of them. You just step away. That's how, you know, you be respectful to the human condition. And doing what I've done 31 years, arrested a lot of people. In fact, I just arrested one yesterday, as a matter of fact. You understand you're dealing with people. So people mess up, people make mistakes, people do things for what they feel is a good reason. So you just let it roll.
Yeah.
Then you have the prankster, one who hoaxes for humor and the enjoyment without any real motivation. And that actually, sometimes you can call those out pretty quick. You see it once in a while. There's a real good one, and you're like, so I start asking questions. I remember the guy wasn't really getting very descriptive about it. He was just saying, man, this thing was incredible. Wow. All right. Yeah. But what did you, well, you know, my brother saw it, man, it was incredible. And I just turn around, hit him between the eyes, and I go, all right, why are you guys faking this? Long pause. Well, we were just kind of bored and looking for something to do. Okay, well, you do realize you're wasting a lot of people's time. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, have a nice day. So yeah, pranksters are pretty. And then you have the profiteer, one whom hoaxes to garner financial gain either directly or indirectly.
Money.
Now, indirectly means, you know, well, I'm going to set up a bunch of subscription cameras, and then, and then all of a sudden, some woman says she has a Bigfoot in her backyard that's hurt, and we have doctors looking at it, and then I was lied to. Well, you just said you had. But in the meantime, 5,000 people just subscribed to your camera system because you were dropping hints. We may have the cameras out there real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's in
I remember that too.
Yep.
Oh man.
Gotta catch me a stagecoach. Anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, then we have, and then directly would be, you know, like putting one in a case and taking it around the country and starting at San Antonio and posing the pictures of it, and well, picking it up first in, I think, Washington or Oregon, wherever. That's directly.
Yeah.
And you know who did that. Remember, my father used to say, never sell your cabbages twice. But apparently, we may be selling cabbages a third time real soon with theater and bullshit artists near you. So anyway, one of the things you know, obviously is photo analysis. And there's a few tools, you know, anybody can use. And of course, you have this great site, Photo Forensics with an F, FOTO, forensics.com. Great site. You can throw pictures up there, and it will give you all kinds of testing. And we're gonna break that down. The Google reverse image search, and sometimes you also might want to try a second one. I like using TinEye. That's also another reverse image search. Google by far is the better one, but every once in a while TinEye will pull something Google won't, and Google will pull something TinEye won't. So, and when we were talking about that whole setting webcams up in Happy Camp, and now we have something going on in Nevada.
Amy, the Diet Peach.
With a lot of ice. Anyway. So anyway, here's a case study. Linda Newton Perry. This was printed a few years back about when she was going on about this story about the 1962 dead Bigfoot, and she tries to. Up there we go. We got the laugh up there. Hooray! Yeah. And this is this is the reason why we know everything she writes over there is bullshit. And here's one of her stories. Hi, I'm Jerry Lustin, and I was among the guys who found the giant creature in November of 1962. Bill Emery, there's another fake guy, has asked me to write a short comment. Okay, so this is the and for some time, blah blah blah. So anyway, and underneath here's a 1960 picture of a gentleman supposedly by the name of Lauren Staton and Jerry Lustin. Do you smell something? We ran that picture through for our forensics. This is the actual picture of what you got. And the guy's name is actually not Jerry Lustin. It's Buzzy Franklin.
Buzzy. Yeah.
And of course, this was a 70s picture, and they were loggers, and you can see they're talking about timber and yada yada yada.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's the actual newspaper clipping.
Yeah.
And you go back there, you do notice that the crease is in her picture as well. But as it turned out on the same page, and the funny thing is this is the exact page she stole it from. Yep. See right down there, it says Buzzy Franklin on right and Henry Klossner on left. So that's right. So you go over here, and in the same thing was Buzzy Franklin in 2008. And at that time he was running a diner. And I actually talked to somebody, I forget who, it was one of my contacts out in I think Oregon that had said, yeah, I knew Buzzy too. He ran a really great his little diner was great. It's closed, but it was great.
Yeah.
But there he is, and years later.
Oh. Ham and sausage omelet with mushrooms and jalapenos. That sounds good to me.
That's right. So again, what we did was we looked in some of these, like a couple of these pictures were found on the same picture that was on the Buzzy thing was actually right here. Was a picture of a, as it says, it's a commercial fisherman from Waco, Washington. So, and then this is the same person she's been calling Dale Saxton, who the blog is dedicated to. Right. And then, of course, she has, Bill Emery right here and Hank Partel, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And this was one of the great boots on the ground type of investigation where we actually found Vince Chastain and Gene Tilley, and they actually work at the Fort Worth Exchange. So she lifted their pictures from somewhere. I haven't been able really to find out. Where, but that's who they are. Right. And if you look, the same cowboy hat, the same bandana, and this, believe it or not, well, hang on. This is a picture right here. The Bill Emery picture was one we got off the Fort Worth website. Yeah. This was actually taken by one of the guys that went down there. Yeah. So that was taken by one of the investigators we sent down there.
That's what I was going to say, that she probably used pictures that came from somewhere. That's a little tourist trap there. I mean, well, they do a lot of tourism. So she probably did some pictures from somebody, or she may have taken them herself.
Yep.
Now, very common.
Yep. Now we turn around and we look at should have put Sam Elliott in there. Yeah. Vince does look like a little bit like, well, Vince does not look like Bill Elliott when he takes his cowboy hat off. Yep. He's got a hairline like me if I let my hair grow in, or like Chris. So anyway, then we have Dale Saxton and crew. And I actually found this picture posted on some logger's blog. And it actually goes in and names all the people. Hey, we finally from left to right. Here's Ernie Grunder, ball egg, blah blah blah. Jeez, there's no Dale Saxon there. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Hey, Jimmy Trek. Hello, Jimmy.
Hi, Jimmy.
Hey, Jimmy, for a lot of people don't know, Jimmy went through a little medical procedure, and he's going through with flying colors. And brother, God bless you, man. And I am glad to hear that you're on the mend. Love you, brother, and I hope to see you soon. So, so we have that, and of course, we're looking quickly for the return of Charlie Wonton for another. So anyway, so we have that. Now we have another case study using photo forensics with Todd Stanton's Blinky. Now, a lot of people thought that this was originally a video, but I said, you know what? I saw this picture somewhere, and I found it. I found it where I had seen it, and it was on a newspaper site in the Edmonton Star, I believe. There's Todd Stanton's Blinky. So we talk about attack of the critics. When I broke it down, remember I talked about defensiveness or attack of the critics. Here is one of the standlings, as I like to call them. I think you're full of crap. This still image was created from a single frame taken from a digital source. No, it wasn't. And I have the proof coming up. Most likely it was an MTL, blah, blah, blah. All you have to do is capture an on-screen shot, convert the caption into JPEG form, and you can manipulate all the convincing metadata for yourself. So basically he's saying that I manipulated the data. And just so you know, Steneda, he was incorrect exactly in what he was saying about what stenography is. He was using it. He was basically turning it to. Now, the interesting thing is that Mr. Standing is a production guy. I have a feeling that this is actually Todd Standing himself, just not using his real name. But, okay, well, here's the source of the picture. And that's where I got the picture from. All I did was, and I explained that in the blog, all I did was right click and save it to my computer. But he gave the original picture of this to the Calgary Sun. And they uploaded the original to their website without any modification. They left it as is and sent it. I right clicked on it, and I got the raw picture. The writing on the picture isn't even there. So here's the picture. And I explained everybody in step by step on the blog, and I have the URL link, and they probably still do work. So if anybody wants to go ahead and recreate it, go right ahead, and you will see all the same things that come out. So right click it, get it, yada, yada, yada. So then we run it through photo forensics. Now, what photo forensics does is, now we're going to talk about I see a bull and I see a poop. I'm not quite sure what that means. So what we have here is the metadata. Metadata will give you, and in this case, the actual camera that was used, this is the actual metadata from the picture, was a Canon EOS 60D camera, which is pictured right there. And as you can see, it gives me, and we're going to just keep on going very succinctly. And it showed us an ISO of 100. Now, let's look at what we have here. And this is what I suggest people do, is look at, pull up the information. In this case, I have an ISO chart. And what you have here is 100 is set for dark lighting. Now, wait a minute. If you're shooting in the day, why would you set something for dark? Right? You may set it at 400 or maybe 800, but you went and set it at 100.
Well, also,
hey, Joey, how are you, brother? Do you think Todd's stuff is a hoax? Just keep watching. Turn this one up pretty good. Yes, I do. But here we go. So anyway, so we have that. Now we go to the
still subject. What's all be set on 100, Steve? If you were shooting a still subject, something that he's expecting not to move.
Well, no. Actually, the ISO has to do with lighting, and this is where all this. That's why the charts become really, because truthfully, I had to educate myself. So I sat there. Okay, exactly what is ISO for? Well, ISO is for ISO is for lighting and motion as well, right?
Right.
But what you have here, actually, I'm sorry, your ISO is for lighting. Down here, you have the f-stop.
Right.
What your f-stop speeding is for. And if you look at the F number, I believe that's what it is. It's 5.6.
Right.
Okay, so that's set for something that's moving. Okay, that's okay. But
Okay.
the lighting is off. Now we
Okay.
look at the shutter speed. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. I stand corrected. That's not your f-stop. This is your shutter speed.
Okay.
Right? And your shutter speed was set at 132.
Right.
And your f-stop, your aperture value, is set at 5.7.
Okay.
So what that's showing you is that if something is moving, it's going to be blurry. Boom, boom.
Mhm. Right.
Right? When you're
Right.
set up here, it's not. When you're set up here, it's not. But when you start moving it to this way or this way, you start getting blur.
Right.
So this was set for something, it seems to be, that was a static target. So now we look
Mhm.
at the focal length, which is 126 millimeters. Well, here are some distances. You have the 28, which is pan way out, the 50, the 70, and 210. So we're somewhere between the 70 and the 210,
Right.
which means he was zoomed in,
Right.
which means given the values of your aperture and your shutter speed, guess what?
He was wanting to make it a little blurry when he zoomed it in with low light.
Yep.
That seems kind of odd, huh? If you're trying to get a the clearest picture you can get,
Oh,
it seems
Dave.
like all the wrong things.
So you can tell my fans are out there, because Dave goes, is it true that was there more than one focal point in the blinky photo, meaning more than one pic on top of another? Stand by. And Ken also writes, in digital photography, ISO measures sensitivity of the image sensor. The same principles apply in film photography. The lower the number, the less sensitive your camera is to light, and the finer the grain. By choosing a higher SO, you can use a faster shutter speed to freeze the movement. But
Yeah.
he didn't.
Right.
He didn't. He used a low ISO and he used a slow shutter speed. So, and he actually zoomed in too.
And a lot of zoom. Yeah. He was a pretty distance from it, dude.
So next is something we call an error level analysis test. And here is a lottery ticket, picture taken of it, and then they run it through the ELA. And the numbers 4, 46, and 23 were altered. And as you can see on the ELA, the 4, which is right here,
Right.
the 23, 4, 23.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 4, 23, 26. You can see the altered values of the number. The 23 is
Right.
over here, the 46. You can see this whole line has been altered. And that's how you
Right.
run an ELA test. So what we did is we ran the picture. Since we have an original, we ran the picture. And Ken goes, right, he lied like a rug. So now we go over to here, and what is all this?
Huh.
The ELA is showing us here that this is all added in, and I'll tell you why. Because the original picture was this tree limb. See this? That was the original picture. The stuff in the background was added in. That's why. This is the real picture. This is some computer-generated bullshit that was put into it.
Uh-huh.
And actually, what it was here's the computer-generated bullshit, and then he layered the real picture on top of it.
Right. Ah. Gotcha.
So Joey asked a question, what about the parts of him alone having Sasquatches on all sides of the ground, and then we see when grab an apple? Is there anything to show it's fake? Yeah, there's a lot to show it's fake. he has put out constantly phony evidence. The puppet face, Blinky. Blinky is lock, stock, and barrel right here, forensically proven to be bull. So why we expect him to be honest all of a sudden and actually say, oh, I was surrounded by Sasquatch? Did we see a Sasquatch in the video? No. Then I would suggest it's bullshit. and people forget about Sylvanic video 1. And there's a whole history on Sylvanic. I suggest, and I don't want to make this a big dissertation on Todd Standing. This is just to prove a couple of points on the presentation. But if people really want to know more about my investigations into Todd Standing, I would suggest go to the blog, which you can get off of squatchdetective.com. Click on the blog, and just in the search button, just search Todd Standing, and all the posts about Todd Standing will pop up that I've done. Includes the Blinky picture, the attack on me, my response, the history of Sylvanic, which really is very interesting because
that's his mother's name, isn't it? Sylvia, I think, or something like that.
Oh, look, computer bullshit. Yeah. Well, the other thing is too is when the website opened up, Sylvanic is the name of the area that the Aboriginal Native Americans here called it. Well, Sylvanic's a Latin name.
Well, maybe they were Latin Native Americans.
Answer that one, yeah.
Oh, man.
So now we do a little bit about audio analysis, and this is a free program called Audacity. I use it to enhance audio, to listen to things, to clip. I actually now use another one that's a paid one that I bought, a little bit easier on the interface. But what people can do to make phony Sasquatch audios, for example, Sasquatch Ontario. And Joey actually, that picture is him, Todd Standing in Bigfoot makeup. He can't go that way. Well, in fairness to Dr. Meldrum, I talked to Dr. Jeff about that, and he really didn't know a lot about Todd's background, some of the other stuff that I had dug up. But he went along to, just to see what he had, and he explained it to me as a scientist. If he says he's got this stuff, I need to investigate it. No matter how controversial, I need to investigate it. If you all recall, this boy sitting here behind the mic did something very similar.
Well, yeah, I think, Dr. Meldrum's main thing, what he said was, his comment was that he found the Standing stuff interesting. And what that means is, it's worthy of investigating. Not that, oh, yeah, this is it. He's got the real, no.
Now, Joey writes, I don't understand why researchers that are wanting to prove these creatures real, why they would hoax stuff, because once they found out, they're pretty much done. Because he doesn't want to prove they're real. These are stunts to promote films and to promote things. People forget.
And if I remember correctly, he had a website up, and I don't know if it still is, where you could watch videos pay-per-view.
Kind of slightly more sophisticated than Rick Dyer. Yeah. Dave, you have a great night, my friend. And long story. We've had Dave, I believe, on the show, and I actually kind of encouraged Dave to go up and tell about his sighting. He was one of those people that was really it's an interesting video. Dave, just a note on Dave. Dave had a sighting, and he was really traumatized over it, and he was scared to talk about it, and really didn't want to talk about it. And one day he saw me talk at Cabela's, and I had a long discussion with him. And I said, you know what? I said, you need to release this, because you're among friends and you're among people that want to hear your story.
Yeah.
So I had Dave come up on stage with me. I said, I want to introduce this man. His name is Dave, and he's got, a story to tell. And Dave told the story, and it released him. It really made him feel comfortable afterwards talking to other people about it, and he's become, a researcher himself. So he's very, and he's in his place, man. He's going on talk shows and, speaking at little lectures here and there too. So good for him. And I'm glad I helped him, brother. That's what it's about. So anyway, some of the things that, going back to audio analysis, some of the things that, Sasquatch Ontario may do, or our buddy from Ohio, Crotch Master, the Crotch Master. I mean the Squatch Master.
Oh, please work.
And he goes, that's like saying Al Bundy is slightly more sophisticated than Cheech and Chong.
Amy is just on it tonight. You know, she is really popping.
Girl, you're on your game.
Yeah.
But Amy says, yeah, once Dave look at it, yeah, I can dig. Okay, so here we have this, and how some people change things is they change the pitch of the audio, and then they can change the speed, and then they can reverse it. And I hope this plays out better than it did before. So if it doesn't, I'm going to can it. So here goes. And it's not playing. Okay, hang on. Let's try this. Yeah, for what? Hang on.
Oh.
Okay, so we can't do that audio.
Darn it. That was so new.
Yeah, well, I think I've played that before, and you know what? Let me see if I can't. Well, I'll dig it up another time. But there's an example. In that particular example, it's where I don't know why this is choosing not to play.
Boy, it played in.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
My car. Yeah, it's really scratchy because of the filtering. I'll just play it out. And so then
I think that, even though it was scratchy, Steve, everybody heard,
Yeah.
when it was played in reverse, it's obviously somebody just talking normally.
And no, don't be sorry, Amy. And sorry about that. Yeah, sorry for those who were in cans. I really there is some things that don't level off right. And we're still working on it. Like our levels are fine, but sometimes you get a video like this is for whatever reason the video, when it plays on the players, it works fine, but for whatever reason this particular one is kind of screwy on this one. Should be a little bit easier to listen to. Then we have the case study of Bob Garrett, the Texas researcher, who is put out there by the Sasquatch Chronicles for many months. Another guy, this guy puts out, shows this lets people listen to this audio of a supposed Bigfoot at one of his events. And it turns out that it is actually just a copy of a gorilla. And as you can see here, this is the waveform. And that's how this program helps us, is we look at the waveform. And if you can see, they're exactly the same. There's a little more noise in there. Little
Probably
more
from copying, yeah.
Well, you know what? There's a fan playing in the background if you listen to the audio. So you can almost hear this mechanical in the background, which to me indicates a fan. And so you have the crisp audio from the gorilla video, which I got, and then the audio that he had presented to his folks, which I had gotten. It's exactly the same thing. Exactly. Yeah. And if we listen to it, I'll play it. Hopefully this will work out okay. Oops. So yeah, so the the whole thing, obviously, when you play them side by side, there's no difference in those.
Right.
And, but somebody, one particular host of a particular show says, "Oh, I don't hear it." Okay. So video analysis by far is more difficult to analyze. CGI and commonalities in legitimate videos versus hoaxes, and that it gets really tough. One of those videos came out that was the Sonoma video story, and this was the story that was posted in 2005. This was really the first hoax that I went after. I looked at it, and there's a lot of takeaways from this. He was talking about this, and it just sounded a little cheesy to me. Luckily, my buddy Jeff has a buddy who works in a lab, of course. So we're going to have them analyze. About me, my name is Mark Nelson, and I'm an amateur naturist. I love hiking in the woods and spending. I also like photography, and I play a bass in a rock band called Total Nutcase. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, here's the actual video. So that was the video. That was a video back from way back when. And then I looked at his website. But you see, this is the first time that I actually... Hanny's on fire tonight.
Yeah.
So this was the first time really that I think anybody had done this. I actually used... this was the first time I used the metadata on the film. I mean, again, 2005, digital photography was there, but it was still up and coming. But I used basically the metadata on this to prove that it was wrong. So you hear November 17th. Here's a picture from Alex. No boots yet, and it's dated November 15th at 11:04 p.m. It's kind of bizarre. Why would you take a picture of a dog at that time? And then you have the boots, which was taken the day after. But wait a minute. The boots are at the lab because Alex was his friend from the lab. No words on the boots yet. And that picture was taken on 11/15, November 17. But wait a minute. We find out that this picture was taken on 11/16. What's going on here? So the pictures did not match. And what it turned out to be, and right, Joey, Joey says what made me think it was wrong was the fake arm swing.
Yeah.
I agree. It was a little overextended. But the bottom line is you can't prove something is a hoax based on that. But just on the metadata of the order of pictures, you can say their order of pictures didn't match the story.
Right.
And of course, we found out later that Penn and Teller actually hoaxed this for their show Bullshit.
Yeah.
And there you have a picture of the person taking the video and the actual person that did it. Then we have Thomas Byers. Nobby Lives. This happened in 2011 on the evening of March 22nd, 2011, while driving Golden Valley Church Road. I and a friend observed the Bigfoot Nobby or one similar across the road in front of a truck. Okay, so let's just get to the video. And I look at the video and I go, "This is horseshit." I mean, you even get to go.
Oh, hilarious.
He's saying hi. But then another thing you can do.
Yeah.
Roger that, Ken. I'll have to get to that after the show. I just have too much stuff open right now. Anyway, but the other thing you can do is look up who is data, and who is data will tell you when. So you look at the site that says, Nobby lives, and this was launched after the video and everything. But you look, the domain was already bought, before the sighting.
Right.
March
Month and a
1st.
half. Yeah.
And guess what? This does sound like sounds like it was planned. So in that case, we can have even more fun with them. But so that's another way of trying to link data and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems kind of odd that he would create a site a month and a half in advance of actually having the sighting.
Exactly. Exactly. So we look at this point of a piece of evidence is only as good as the story behind it. Yes, it was.
Yeah, kid.
Oh no.
Uh,
Well, hold on. Leroy did pass away, so. But it does.
Well, I gotta say though, I'll give Leroy Blevins credit. I mean, his suit was much better than what we just saw there. So he could have probably done a better job.
So anyway, a piece of evidence is only as good as the story behind it. Ever notice how most evidence later proven to be hoaxes only have the event of the film and nothing else? There's no beginning, there's no end. There's just this little snippet of video. Where's the rest of the video? You're telling me you had a camera with you said you're taking video of you're a naturist. I mean, look at the Sonoma video. You're saying you're a naturist. Well, where's the rest of the video of the day?
Right.
How about some video afterwards? You didn't video yourself going, holy shit, what was that? So, Mick, actually, Leroy Blevins did pass away about 2-3 months ago. In case you didn't know.
I didn't know.
Yeah, he did. Kind of a controversial guy. Done a lot of trying to claim the Patterson-Gimlin film was a hoax. He actually gave me a copy of his book last year when I saw him at Scarefest. He popped by, introduced himself, and said, "I have a book for you."
Yeah, he was real big on the conspiracy.
He was really big on the Kennedy assassination too.
Yeah.
So again, I did one called the not the Wisconsin Interstate video, but it was the LaSalle Falls pictures, and there were a picture of a guy behind the waterfalls. It turned out it was rock, but in corroborating the guy's story, he did send me the entire index print. So there's the beginning and the after. So I knew his story was legit, but what's going on behind him? And it turned out it was just, he didn't hear nothing, see nothing. He just saw it in the picture and goes, "Hey, this is kind of interesting. I don't know what it is." And when we came out with the summation that it was actually just big black rock, that it was a big dark black rock wall behind it, and some rock had fallen, and it just coincidentally looked like that. And we found the same. We have 5 points, and we found all 5 points on the video or on the picture from the picture that was taken in comparison.
Right.
So,
and I wouldn't say it would be out of the ordinary. Well, yeah, of course it'd be out of the ordinary. But if you got somebody that's out on a nature hike and they're stopping every often and make photographs of the scenery and the area around them, it would not be uncommon for them to miss seeing something at that moment, and then later on seeing it when they get home, or after they had their film developed, or they put the pics on the screen where they can see it. So, the main thing to remember is to go back to the same area and check, was that a stump? Or is it a Bigfoot? Well, I don't know. No, we went back the next day and there was a tree there. Okay, it was a tree. Don't be afraid to do a little investigation and go back and check things out.
Well, the one thing I like to point out about hang on a sec. One thing I like to point out is that, you know, here's this guy with the LaSalle Falls picture.
Right.
You know, he's right. He's taking pictures of the scenery and this and that and his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Where is the picture of? Where are these pictures with? Where's the videos with Mark Nelson? Where's the videos of anybody else that has these? You just have this little 10-second event. And everybody and their brother is trying to figure out by film. How about talking to the witness? How about getting into the witness's head?
Right.
That's where it becomes important. So, you know, always build a timeline. Patience. Hoaxes usually crumble after a while. Always be pragmatic. Don't be so quick to say, that's a Bigfoot. Give it some time. Let things marinate. Work it. You got to work it. And that will turn it into what it needs to be.
Right.
Sorry, I'm having a little coughing fit here. Sometimes, though, it's not that hard to decipher.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this one.
Those are bloused boots right there.
Yeah. This Bigfoot wears boots. He doesn't want to get his feet wet, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. Of course, he doesn't want
Those
to feet
boots don't look that big.
No. This was Littlefoot.
So again, some of the things we use. These are just some of the tools I use. GIMP is a good alternative to Adobe Photoshop. You want to have some kind of video converters, picture converters, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And IP trackers, the Whois database. I use GoDaddy Whois database because sometimes if you go to a GoDaddy website, it will say, hey, you have to go to GoDaddy to get the Whois information. So I just go directly to there and it gives me everything from everybody. So
right.
So not too bad. So that's some of the tools I use. Now, frequently asked questions. Here we go. What is the first question up tonight? Is Bigfoot an alien? Is Bigfoot an alien?
Oh, there. I see
No.
Oh, man.
Bigfoot is not an alien. You know, but what if he was? Well, let's go into the bovine conspiracy. What is the bovine conspiracy? Well, remember, FBI joins investigation of animal mutilations linked to UFOs. All these cattle mutilations, mutilation of grazing horses and cattle over an 18-state area, which have been linked to UFOs. Remember, is Bigfoot an alien? Well, just because we see a UFO with Bigfoot does not mean it originated from there. Oh,
oh, Amy.
That is, pardon my French, that is fucking beautiful. So anyway, but let's think for a minute. What if Bigfoot is an alien? Well, that means the cows are aliens too. And if you think about it, what are those sneaky sumbitches done? We have Mrs. O'Leary's cow in 1910 knocking over the lantern to burn the hay, which burned half of Chicago.
Yeah, that cow burned Chicago, man.
Yeah, friggin' agent of doom.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is, I have a problem with this picture. I mean, it's a cow. Why has it got horns? Don't the bulls have horns?
Well, yeah, actually, cows can have horns too. You know,
all right.
They cut them off usually when they're small.
I'm a fucking northerner. Pardon my French. I'm a northerner.
Well, the only thing is, you hear some of the people, especially if I don't want to mention anybody's. Some people out west, they'll say, "Was this a boy cow or a girl cow?" Well, a cow is always a girl.
That's right.
Bull is the male. The bull is the male and the cow is girl.
That's right.
Easy to remember.
They're known as bovine or cattle.
Mm-hmm.
Is it true, Chris?
What?
Is it true that the brown cows are the ones who make chocolate milk?
You know, I've always heard that.
I mean, after all, it's the brown chickens that give you the brown eggs.
I don't give it away. I just I will say this though, you know, you do get white eggs for white chicken. That's true.
Here's Ken with a great thing. There are many people who believe they are related and that Bigfoots were brought here from another world. When you ask them how they know that, they tell me things like they mind spoke it to me.
Ah.
But now let's think about it, folks. If the bovine are aliens, guess what? We've been drinking their milk for years. We've been under their mind control.
Yeah. You know, I eat a lot of hamburgers too.
Yep.
That kind of worries me.
Yep.
I'm gonna start eating that those what do they call it? The unbelievable Whopper or something? The Impossible Whopper. Yeah, that's it.
Right.
The no meat burst.
Yeah, well, you know what? Mrs. O'Leary was mad because, you know, Mrs. O'Leary had Uncle Henry for lunch. And I'll teach you to have my uncle for lunch. Anyway, does Bigfoot cloak?
Cloak. Huh.
Yes, that's an actual picture, folks, of cloaked Bigfoot on Facebook.
Well, are those all those circles cloaked Bigfoots?
Correct. See, got over 100 keeper shots.
Oh my goodness!
Impressive.
The answer to that is
no.
What? The picture lied? Really?
Mind speak. Mind speak.
Oh, that's
mind speak.
You know, I don't know if they can do that or not. I've been lucky enough to see them a few times, and they never did that with me. But, you know, of course, I'm kind of thick-headed, so maybe they couldn't get through. I don't know.
So, okay, folks. Oh, hang on. Lisa asked a question. Does strawberry milk come from a red or pink cow? Good question.
I've heard that. I have heard. Yes, Lisa. I've heard that.
Okay. Okay, boys and girls. We have a picture up there. What are we looking at? Does Bigfoot cloak? Okay, come on. Throw it out there first. I tell you what. What we are looking at here, Mr. Ann, you don't count. But I'll tell you what. I tell you what we're going to do. The first person that can tell me what's in this picture, when we're done, we can contact us after. Hang on, I'm going to put us on. Whoop, I'm looking at the wrong. What we're going to do is the first person that can do that, I will send them a Stop the Lunacy wristband.
Oh, yeah.
So first person that can tell me what's in that picture. There is an animal in that picture. So we're going to give it about a minute. So I didn't cue the music, and I wish I had the Family Feud buzzer.
Well, Ken is right. There is a lot of dead weeds. So, you know,
but I did specifically ask the animal.
Right. Steve.
Oh, well, okay.
Okay.
Oh, Cryptidville came in with an nope. Sorry, Cryptidville, not a coyote. You see?
Well, you know, I was looking at the lower right there, you know, and I see a ranch area there.
Come on now, we have a wristband down there. Stop the hashtag Stop the Lunacy wristband.
Okay.
Oh, guess what?
Oh, Ken got it.
Okay,
Yeah.
Ken. So what I want you to do is PM me your address, and I'll get one of those out to you in the mail tomorrow morning. So
But if you look at the lower right,
here we go. A bobcat. It's a deer. And right there, you'll see a leg and another leg, and there's the front leg, and you can see the eye right in there, and the nose and the face.
Ear. Yeah, ear.
So there you go. So Ken Parnell wins the contest for the week. Like I said, PM me your address, and I'll get one of those swank wristbands in the mail to you. I'm glad to have a little contest, a little fun. So
nice job, Ken.
Yep.
But look to the lower. Well, take Ken's comment down there for a second, Steve.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm.
Look on the lower right, and you see this over in the lower right corner. That rounded object there, that's a turtle. I bet you.
Yeah.
Or it could be a rock.
Right. So that's why, people say to, well, it was right there and then it disappeared. Well, there's a deer. You can't even make it out in the
Yeah.
So, okay, here we go. Does Bigfoot shapeshift or jump in and out of portals? Does it? The answer to that is no.
The portal potty.
The portal potty. That's right. There's the portal potty. And there's a reason why, because let's think about it. If they're jumping in and out of portals, if you look, excuse me, if you look, if they're jumping in and out of portals, I mean they're intelligent. That was the whole thing. They mind speak. They're intelligent, right? Well, what the heck are they playing naked and afraid? I mean, why are they jumping in here naked? I mean, there's flies and chiggers and ticks and fleas, and because they got hair, they can get fleas. I'm sure lice, lots of other things. Stinging insects, disease. Stuff that makes your skin itch. Poison ivy, poison oak. Poison cooking by my ex-wife. No, I'm sorry. But so what? It would be naked and afraid,
right?
and I put that out there for my naked and afraid friends from Naked and Afraid. So anyway, where I think this idea came from a lot is from the original Terminator film, where they couldn't jump in and out with any. That's why the mechanicals had to be surrounded by human flesh, because it was the only way they could come in and out of the time portal. And the funny thing is you heard very little about this portal stuff before this film came out. Very little.
Yeah,
so I thought that was kind of interesting. Again, Stop the Lunacy. Talk a little bit about that too. Of course, it's stand against fringe bait, clickbait research, and hoaxers. And, of course, we got the Patty storming Area 51. We got Kim Jong saying he is proclaiming himself the world's greatest Bigfoot hunter. And of course, we got the Sasquatch there licking ice cream. And, of course, the portal potty.
Love the portal potty.
Whew. So that is... Now, mind you, I do that normally in an hour, but I've been really descriptive and
yeah, we got sidetracked a little bit too, every now and then.
So, I'm pooped. That was but anyway, that is the basic summation of things, and I think if Chris, you want to talk about this a little bit, what are your thoughts?
Oh, let me start my cam back up. Hello, everybody. I enjoyed the portal potty, man. That's a getter.
The portal potty.
But some of the things, that go along with the lunacy movement and stuff, this mind speak and stuff, I can't say for certainty that they can't do that because, I just don't know. But, none has ever did it to me. And I kind of go by my observation base, what I view as reality is stuff that I see. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's kind of hard to take it on faith, and that's really something you don't want to do when you're doing a scientific investigation. Is take something on faith, because it leaves the realm of science and it goes into like dogma, you know.
Yep, exactly.
And this is not a religion.
No, and you know, one of the that's where you see I have no problem with if people are being harmless about it. And yeah, I put out a few videos. We've done Stop the Lunacy videos here. And
Yeah.
like I said, we have fun with it. We're not mean about it or try not to be mean about it. We have fun with it because, okay, to us, it's kind of a goofy idea, but, you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion. But when it becomes dangerous, as we saw with what's been going on with somebody that loves Zorth, now it's becoming kind of a cult and a little bit dangerous, and people are now getting healed and claiming they're doing this and that by that. Pretty dangerous. I've never heard a Reiki master ever tell anybody you should not go to conventional doctors. You know, it's just part of a healing process. These people are anyway. I don't want to get another dissertation about that. But in reality, I think it's really, really important that, you know, people understand that Stop the Lunacy is also against hoaxing and junk science and people coming out last minute saying, hey, you know, the Facebook find Bigfoot, everything is a Sasquatch, without any real, you know, real science behind it, but claiming to be an authority on it. You know, clickbait, you know, there is a certain program out there that has these exciting stories every week. Without a disclaimer, and there is a show that does have a disclaimer, and I'm cool with that as long as they're saying that. I think that and that's cool. You know, they have a disclaimer saying, "Hey, we you know we get these stories and we create a backstory on them." That's cool. That's fine. I'm cool with that as long as you're putting that up front. I'm all right with that. But then you have this other one that's putting out these pretty remarkable stories with really no names to attach to it. And we looked at, you know, a video, or we looked at a story last week in a picture last week claiming to be a law enforcement camera. That's not. Right. And when you have somebody on the show that seems very well versed and very well scripted, and every witness seems very well scripted, kind of makes me scratch my head and go, is this real? Because I know at least one person they were promoting turned out to be a hoaxer. So you got to kind of look at it that way.
You know, another thing too, you know, if you want to go out and investigate the mystery, that's great. But if you're going to go in the woods and pay somebody because you think Bigfoot is going to heal you, you know, you need to stop and ask yourself a serious question. You know, am I crazy? I don't think they do that. You know, then again, if they do, that would be great. But you know, I don't see any evidence of that.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, I look at it from the aspect of we just need to police ourselves a little bit. But anyway, I think on that note, I think we can call the show. I think we've had a pretty good show tonight. And if nobody has any questions, we'll be signing off here. It's the beauty of this is we don't have time constraints. If we went over, we went over. I'm glad we kind of went with, you know, usually we sign off at 11 o'clock, you know, at the latest. And we're just about there anyway. We got 20 minutes to go. And people like me got to get up way early tomorrow and work because I've been sick for many years and Bigfoot has never offered to help me.
Yeah, Joey, really.
I know.
I would appreciated some help back in 2017, you know, but he didn't throw me any help either, Joey.
Nah. Yeah, all they do is throw shade at people. But anyhow, I don't know, Chris, anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to throw out there tonight?
No, that's about it, man. Everything has been be quiet in Kentucky, and I hadn't heard anything since I got back from vacation. But it's that time of year, though. You know, when the leaves get off the trees, yeah, and it won't be long. We'll get a good frost, and they'll hit the ground. I hope they stick around for a week or so or two, but they'll hit the ground, and I'm sure there'll be some sightings reported locally because it never fails. When you've got nothing but bare woods and leaf litter on the ground, anything dark in color in those woods sticks out like a sore thumb because all the green leafy small growth down on the forest floor is dead, you know.
Yep.
And all those trees are gone. So now you can see a long ways. Whereas in midsummer, you know, spring and midsummer, you know, I could walk 15 feet away from you in the woods and you wouldn't see me because there's just too much coverage.
Well, I know a guy, we used to call him Slim, and you wouldn't see him walking in the woods either. But there was only one condition: we walked in a redwood forest, and that's the reason why. But anyhow, all right, folks, it's been my pleasure and my honor to bring you this information, and I'm glad y'all hung in there. Hope that y'all found it informative and you found it entertaining as well. And of course, we'll be back here next week on Facebook and YouTube. And again, to my Twitter folks and my Twitch folks, we will be getting that up real soon. Just need to reconfigure a couple of things. So are we planning on going out researching in the winter? No. And the reason why is unless I usually go out and research if I get a report. If I get a report, yeah, I'm there. If not, then I will probably hunker down and do some other type of research.
I'm planning on doing some driving on some really rural back areas that are graveled, but I can't really get into the footwork.
Well, the other thing too is the areas I research in. You know, my main areas, they shut the roads down. I can't even get within, I would have to hike in 8-9 miles. And I'm sorry when it's, you know, 15 degrees and no. Yeah. If there's a sighting by a house or, you know, on some private property where we can get access to, absolutely we'll be there. Usually I take the winter to retool some things, blog, and keep on keeping on.
Well, latest sighting here, Steve, happened about 3.5 miles away from the nearest gravel road runs through that area. So I will be doing some driving, you know, not daily, but probably every other day anyway, and checking out the area and see if, you know, you never know. I mean, that would be great to have a sighting from the car window, but it's not likely. I'm not going to hold my breath.
Well, then again, Kentucky gets a heck of a lot less snow than I do up here.
Yeah.
I mean, I will probably see my first snowfall within the next month. That's how bad.
Global warming, you know, it's the thing. I love it, you know.
I do too.
More. I would love to see no snow in the winter. It's good.
All right, my friends. I want to wish everybody to have a great night. Keep safe. Have a great week. God bless. And of course, folks, keep on squatching. We'll see you here next Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. This is Steve Kulls with my co-host, Mr. Chris Bennett, upstairs. And we're all wishing you good night. And, of course, keep on squatching, folks.